I cannot say her name without saying the greatest motion picture actress of all time.
Well, you're right.
It's like officially part of her name. Well, Dana, we are here at the Warner Brothers Archive to talk about one of our favorite performers.
Yes.
Barbara Stanwyck. She had a long career and went through many phases in her career. And so I think we have outfits here that are representative of all of those. She never signed a long-term contract with a single studio. She wanted to go where the roles were best.
Right.
And it was not that common.
No, especially for a woman.
Especially for a woman.
But I think that's because she'd been working since she was 14.
Yeah.
And money was important to her. And
Yeah.
control was important. And I think for her, it was important to always know she was going to be financially safe.
Someday that signature will be worth money.
That hard knock life that she had, to me, makes her like the quintessential pre-code actress.
I personally like her best in the pre-codes. Those are my favorites because you really get to see who she is.
Got a lot of nerve, haven't you?
So what?
I think it's swell. It'll take plenty to get by within here. I've gone around with almost everything, but it was baby's milk compared to coming through that gate with all these dames staring at you.
This outfit
Yes.
is really, this is one of my favorite films of hers, Ladies They Talk About.
Yeah, she's in prison, right, at this point. she's the new fish. So when you're in the new fish, you have the plain uniform. And then slowly, as you spend more time there, you can see the other girls add a little lace, a collar, cuffs, you know.
Yeah.
And then she gets in trouble and she gets stripped of her lace again.
The thing that fascinates me about Stanwyck is she was just a natural.
Yeah.
You know, she really had no formal training other than a hard knock life.
I prefer when she's in charge.
Why you?
This costume is one that Barbara Stanwyck wore in a picture called My Reputation. Have you seen My
Yes, I
Reputation?
have.
Oh, very good.
It's actually, it's one of my favorites of hers.
This costume, all of her costumes really at this period, is an Edith Head.
Yes.
And this little piece, I don't know much about fashion, but I know
think you
enough.
do.
I know enough that this was like an Edith Head specialty.
Yes.
The midriff to elongate. When actresses were somewhat shorter, she'd do this thing in the midriff.
Well, also, Barbara Stanwyck had an incredible body.
And Edith Head always said she had the best legs in Hollywood.
She had very good legs.
And she
Yes.
knew how to use them. She didn't show them off all the time, but when she did,
knew how to use
it was with purpose.
It's amazing this is an apricot. I love that they're worried about these colors and the movie's black and white.
Yeah.
And yet on set, it affected the actors, you know? And costuming is everything. Like that fitting, to me, is where you find out who the character is.
So this movie is interesting, though, because it was very timely, but it's also a little bit progressive in some ways.
Well, yeah, it's a small town and the gossip, right? And her mother wears black still because she's a widow.
Yeah.
She says, people like us do that, you know?
I don't want to wear black. Not wear black, but you must.
So soon after your husband dies to start dating this scallywag, as George Brent is called, and to go off, you know, to Tahoe, where the gossip starts.
And then it kind of misleads her children.
Yes,
right?
and her
They get
children
the
are
wrong
offended.
idea.
And then when she wears this gorgeous gown for New Year's Eve, she finally lets out the Stanwyck
Yeah,
and tells people how she really feels about things.
I mean, it was considered a woman's picture, you know? It's a wartime film, but it's a
Yes.
film made specifically for women.
I love melodrama. I personally love melodrama because it's human. We all, you know, we recognize ourselves in it.
Dana, I don't know if you remember this, but the television event of 1983 was The Thornbirds.
Yes,
right?
and the book, yes.
And the
big.
book,
Yes.
Colleen McCullough, The
Yes.
Thornbirds. And of course, Barbara Stanwyck was the matriarch of this show.
Yes.
And Barbara Stanwyck kind of colored my whole attitude about what older women could be like.
Me?
Because she was so strong in that scene, her whole Victoria Barkley thing, where she was the boss lady.
Yep.
I mean, there was no question about it. Diana Rigg had me covered on the younger side of
Got
things.
that one, yeah. I
And then
get
Barbara Stanwyck was like, oh, so this is what happens when you get older.
that. Yeah.
You know, she won all kinds of awards and made that thing a hit.
She sets the tone of it, which is great. And you can tell all the other actors, you know, are bowing down to her. When you think about Barbara Stanwyck, she was acting in 1929.
Yes.
She would have worn this in 1929. And then this is kind of a final thing for her. And it's, I don't know, I just find the whole thing very moving.
All right, Dana, well, we've come to the noir part of the
Finally.
story. Finally. And you know, Barbara Stanwyck didn't make a lot of film noir movies at Warner Brothers, but she did do 2, Cry Wolf and The Two Mrs. Carrolls.
Both Barbara and Edith, they dressed the character. They didn't dress for glam.
Right.
They didn't go
Right.
for that. They went for who the character should be.
It's fascinating to see what the colors are in
Isn't that
these things
beautiful?
when you only see them in black and white.
Yeah.
This green
Gorgeous.
is sensational and a very contemporary, this is a very modern.
Oh, I would wear
color,
that,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, well, I can't meet them like this. I'll have to change.
This is a crew shot, the camp shot, as they say,
Right,
from The Two Mrs. Carrolls. This is Stanwyck.
right.
And look at the posture on her, you know? She's sitting with the hand on her hip. She's just the boss.
She's happy.
Everybody loved her because she was the most professional actress in Hollywood, and everybody wanted to work with her. Nobody ever had a bad thing to say about Missy.
Right,
You know,
right.
she was just the best. These 2 films are because they're one-offs, because it's Stanwyck with Bogart in The Two Mrs. Carrolls and Errol Flynn in Cry Wolf.
Right.
And these are like 2 of Warner Brothers' biggest male stars.
Right.
And they're like, we got to make a movie with Barbara Stanwyck. She was the queen. And
Yeah.
like, so these movies were kind of made to get her next to their 2 big leads.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know, if I were to bring this battle of wits down to direct insults, I'd say you were one of the most cold-blooded, scheming women I've ever met in my life.
You've already said that.
She makes men look good. She knows how to support them. She makes them look good. And when she's in love with him, we're in love with him.
We're so lucky that these things have been preserved. There are people who are so dedicated to preserving it and keeping it intact. I mean, and not only because this is Barbara Stanwyck that wore this, but this is Edith Head who designed this
Right.
for Barbara Stanwyck specifically.
Yeah. Well, when I got here today, I was shown my costume from China Beach because I worked at Warner Brothers as a young actor. And to be able to see my own costume that I wore,
I saw your face when the bag was
I
zipped
know,
open,
that's
and it
pretty
was like,
special.
oh my God.
And the sequin dress I wore when we sang You Can't Hurry Love, I mean, you know, that's pretty great.
And so how meaningful is it for you to know that that's kept somewhere safe?
It means a lot because I've been on movies and shows where they were not preserved.
Fortunately, there are people doing that job, and we get the benefit of it. And what a treat this has been to see all this stuff.
I know, it's very moving. I'm very moved by the whole thing.
Likewise, likewise.